You spend all this time creating amazing content for your website, but are your visitors reading and engaging with it? Well, let's find out.
This is Better Radio Websites, the podcast for radio professionals who want to see their website generate more traffic and revenue. Each week, your host, Jim Sherwood, and his special guests give you time-tested tips and secret tricks to ensure your radio station dominates digital in your market. Here we go.
Hi, it's Jim, and welcome to Better Radio Websites, the podcast that wants to help you get more visitors and the most revenue from your radio station website. Thanks a lot for hanging out with us today. Well, surely you spend lots of time creating great content for your website so that your listeners and visitors can stay informed. This great content also helps with your search engine optimization as well, so more people can actually find your website. But what if there was evidence out there that showed that many visitors are not even finishing the articles that you publish, no matter how big or small they are? Would you still take the time to create those extensive news articles that some people just think that they have to create in order to be a news entity, or even those blog content that goes into all the fine details and little things about whatever you're blogging about? Would you still take the time, or would you feel bad that you're dedicating this large amount of time and resources into this, but it wasn't being read? Well, a few years ago, Chartbeat and Slate.com published a research piece that analyzed just how much people actually read through entire articles online, as well as some of the actions that they take before leaving a website. Now, here's what some of their research showed. 10% of readers won't scroll at all. The page will load, and they just stay there, and whatever they can read, they'll read and then go on. Now, their data does show that most readers will scroll through about 60% of the articles. As much as 10%, though, do not scroll at all. Now, this does not include the people who bounce, who get to the page, check it out, and then immediately leave. These are the people who spend a very small amount of time. The page will load. They will get what they need there. They won't even take the time, the effort to scroll their little mouse wheel a little bit to get more details. If they don't get what they need right there, they're gone to something else. I know, 10% though, okay, only 10%. 60% of articles are read by most people. There's a good chance that only 60% of your articles are being read to the median scroll depth. That means almost all the way through. This does indicate, though, that readers don't stay very interested in articles very long to get the meat and potatoes or even the conclusion at the end. We're in that consume it fast culture. They're really consciously missing out on a lot of information that because they don't scroll all the way to the end. It could be good for them, but they never get that far. But these people, even though they're not scrolling all the way, they're getting enough information to make a choice whether they like the article or not. And that leads us to our next bit of information, what they found out. Even though the people don't finish the articles, they're socially sharing them. Yeah, the Chartbeat data examined that the percentage of people who scrolled through the article, even a little bit, when they compared that against the overall amount of tweets and retweets that those articles had, it actually showed that they were tweeting them out even though they weren't finishing the article. Now, they couldn't tell the exact relationship when the articles were shared, where on the page or retweeted, but it did show, even though they didn't get all the way to the end, they were engaged with it enough to make a choice about it and then share it out to everybody in their social channels. So that's pretty good. It all helps in your search engine optimization of your pages and your website as a whole. 65.7% of readers spend time below the fold. Now, the fold is the bottom of the page once your page is loaded. Think of the place that you see at the very bottom when it loads, but you have to scroll up just a little bit to see any more. That's what the fold is. All right, now 65.7% of people, they do scroll enough to get below that fold line. And that's a promising metric for us because that means that higher quality content causes people to scroll a little bit further, indicating that not everything is lost for the people who create actually quality content. Now, the takeaway on all of this is that the data shows some very sad, yet some very promising information on how users are engaging with our website content. we do lose 10% of visitors before they have time to interact with anything. And the majority of readers, though, 60%, only have the capacity to make it to a median length of our content. That means they can get just enough to get the gist of it, but they're not continuing all the way to the end of the article. Now, it was revealed that a lot of readers see the majority of content on these pages in photos and videos, indicating that these visual elements are very helpful in your content pieces, and they should be used aggressively. In other words, have a great photo to go with every article, and if you can include more photos in the articles, then that's going to make the content that you produce a whole lot more valuable to the reader. That kind of content is more likely to be shared than without. Now, all the articles that you create, they do not have to be lengthy. We are in a consume it fast culture, right? Now, while it can be challenging to keep readers engaged on the page, let's not disappoint them with thin content or information that doesn't help them in some way. Just because it's content doesn't mean that it's good, engaging content that we should put on our radio station websites. Good, engaging content will more likely be shared out to their social groups, and that means more traffic to your website. You may want to do a little research of your own within Facebook and Google Analytics to see what kind of content that you're producing actually works. It's showing more page views within analytics. It's getting shared more on Facebook. Check out those analytics and try to do more of the content that your particular audience loves. The kinds of particular content that you create for your market and your community may totally be irrelevant and non-engaging to somebody else in another part of the country. So do that research a little bit and try to find what engages your people the most and what keeps them longer on your station website. That's it for this week. Have an awesome week online making your radio station website better. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to Better Radio Websites. Inspired by today's episode? Be sure you are subscribed and share this episode with a friend. Visit skyrocketradio.com/podcasts for more episodes as well as show notes for this episode. Need help starting or making your station website better? Visit skyrocketradio.com.